Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Power is Mine. I hope you're feeling blessed and beautiful today, and I am your host and creator, Zhanae. And today's episode is going to be called Who Has Me in Mind? So I've been learning recently this concept, and it's been something that's been sitting on my heart because a lot of the times I don't think that people that genuinely are, there's a difference between being sure of yourself and being cocky. And a lot of time people try to force cockiness onto people who are just certain about their personality or the traits that they have, their abilities. And I've noticed that a lot of people that are, for the most part, sure of themselves and have this quiet confidence, they will sometimes underplay who they are. And that is a big thing, especially within the community of Black women, because we tend to overperform and get underpaid and feeling like you have to constantly prove to everyone that you have to be 3 times as good just to get half of what everybody else gets. But then you will also be so humble and not let people know, hey, like, I'm a big deal. I'm great at what I do and stuff like that. And why I've had to really sit with this lately is because I am a person who is a lot of times I am so shy, even though I can be this big performer. I can have a big personality. I believe it would be called being an ambivert, but I can be extroverted and loud and be a big performer. And then also I'm reserved, and sometimes I don't really like talking to people, and I have this work ethic that constantly makes me want to push myself to the next. And a while ago, I had to make sure that I'm acknowledging all of the great things that I do while still wanting more and still saying, hey, I can work towards better. I can achieve more. I can make myself a better person. And in the process, hopefully my work will help other people to find what they need within themselves to be better people. So I tend to work and be a little bit harder on myself and be like, oh, that's not enough. So when I started to realize that I was just way too hard on myself and I wasn't acknowledging any of my wins, I sometimes have to sit with them and be like, you know what, you did a really good job. You have pushed the needle, because I believe every day that I wake up, I had to at some point realize that you might not be able to make monumental moves every single day. You can't do something to the effect of being on TV or being on a billboard or being a part of this performance, or you can't have moments like that every single day. So you have to be willing to sit with yourself in the quiet, in the downtime, and still appreciate who you are and love yourself and still think that you're a pretty big deal and that you're great in the silence. You don't always have to be this adrenaline junkie that's always seeking the next high, or you don't feel affirmed within yourself unless you're doing something that's extremely monumental. That's when you will start breaking yourself down confidence-wise, because you feel like you're only as great as your next thing. And if you're always waiting for the next thing, then that means in those little down times, then you don't feel great. So I had to make sure that I could wake up every single day and love myself for who I am, where I'm at, what I'm doing, and be willing to give myself rest time. Because I've known myself to be this workhorse of driving myself into the ground to the point of exhaustion, and that is not healthy. But it's always good to push yourself to the next level, but you always have to remember to take care of you first. So whenever I wake up, I had to say, because I can't do monumental things every single day, how can I move the needle today? And sometimes moving the needle is doing simple, small things, but those things compound into being, oh, wow, I've made so much progress in my life because every day I wake up and I try to move the needle, even if it's just a little bit. So I say all that to say that when I had to realize that everything didn't have to be this huge, ginormous thing every single day, then I try to move the needle every day. I try to put out content here, like a YouTube video, a podcast, I might make a reel or whatever like that. And when I got further and further with, per se, like my podcast or my YouTube, and people told me the effect that it was having on them, I felt not only humbled by it or super appreciative by it, but I realized that a lot of times I'm being so hard on myself, and there are people out there that think the world of me. They look up to me. They're inspired by me. They appreciate my existence deeply. And I always have to remind myself that whether people appreciate and love me or not, I'm still worth it. Because if you are overly inflated by the yeses and the praises, then you will be deeply diminished by the no's and the boos. So I try not to let the negative or the positive sway me too far. And I try to establish this baseline of who I am and what I know myself to be. And recently I saw someone say that no stranger can tell me who I am. So I appreciate whenever people give me praises, and I ignore whenever people give me boos. And if it's something that I can look at and reflect on and say, well, you know what? They might have ate that one little thing. Let me see if I can be better, or what they gave me, if I can weed through whatever they said, whether it was like deeply like rude and negative, or whether it was just like straightforward, if what they said is something that could be beneficial towards me moving that needle. So once you've established this baseline for yourself that people won't easily sway how I'm feeling about myself, because I know who I am, but I can take a constructive criticism. I can see through someone even being disrespectful and be like, you know what? Okay, I see where they're coming from, or I see what positive I can take from this. Then you can really go in a great direction. And why I really had to name this episode, Who Has Me in Mind, is because there are people that I follow on Instagram, that I've seen on YouTube, that I've watched on TV, that I've heard on the radio, that I would love to one day work with them. But and I'm the type of person, I don't shy away from giving people compliments too. Let me add that in there, because I'm not the person that will quietly lurk and never say anything on your post, never say I like something, never like anything, never repost it, whatever. I'm the type of person who believes in giving people their flowers while they can still smell them. So I definitely acknowledge people and let them know that I love their work or stuff like that. But there are people that I have in mind that, baby, when the budget go up, they're going to be one of the first calls, because I would love to work with them, but the budget's just ain't there right now. So we wait until we get the budget together, then baby, I got you on the Rolodex. You feel me? I got you on the payroll. So you never know who has you in mind and who is awestruck by you and your greatness, or by your struggle or your journey, and you pushing through, you persevering, you making your content, you doing this little thing that you feel like is silly, or that other people around you feel like is silly, but the next person is looking at you and they just love to see you. They can't wait to see you. They have your post notifications on. They like all these posts, and they're in your comments, because sometimes we live with us for too long to not realize how much of a star you are, or the potential you have. And when you see your own potential, but you're somebody like me that's always striving for the next thing, and sometimes you have a tendency to be hard on yourself, somebody else is looking at you and they're like, girl, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're doing great. And it's like a divine intervention thing that happens with me, where it was just so funny, because I was literally thinking to myself, damn, I wish I could be more consistent. And I promise y'all, within that moment that I had that thought, somebody DM'd me on Instagram and said, I love your consistency. Is that not insane? So I could be sitting here saying, I wish I could be more consistent. I wish I could make myself post through the fogs that I have, or the moods that I have, the emotions that I have at times. And here goes somebody else saying, hey, I love the effort that you put in. You're doing great. I love your consistency. So you never know who's paying attention, and you never know who has you in mind for an opportunity. So you have to keep going. And I say all that to say too, that the more that I do and the more effort that I put in, there have been people that reach out to me and I'm like, what? Me? And let me not even say that, because I always know I'm that girl. Hello. But there are people that reach out to me and they're like, I love what you do, or I want to work with you, or can we do this? Can we collaborate with this, or whatever? Or, there are some people that I might not be able to work with them today, but later on when the budget is there, hey, call my phone. So like, you just never know what blessings are around the corner while you're in a fog, while you're trying to manifest your new timeline, trying to create a new life for yourself. You never know who has you in mind. You never know what blessings God want to send you. You never know who he's going to use to send blessings to you. You never know if your effort is perceived differently by someone else than you perceive it. Because I can be hard on myself, but there are people that have said, oh my God, I love you. Like, I appreciate you. Thank you for what you do. Like, you helped me through this time and that time. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm really making a difference. And I love the fact that I can have that effect on people and just be of purpose on this earth, like live in a purpose. And even though I'm a person who has to, and that's why I say, like, on my journeys, I genuinely have to, it's like becoming a different person, and it's fighting. And the old version of you is fighting like hell for you to stay the same. So it's like constantly having to overpower who you used to be. And I feel like I'm going through those struggles because it is exhausting, y'all, to try to like put out so much content. It's exhausting to still want to get up when I'm not feeling like it, when I'm sad, when I'm angry, when people in my life are getting on my damn nerves. It's just like frustrating as hell. But I have to keep reminding myself, get up. You want a different life. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep working. You have to build a level of discipline to where you keep showing up. And lately, like, I've just been so damn exhausted. I've been so exhausted. And I'll speak on like my music journey, where I'm at with rapping. I am a person who genuinely wants to be great at whatever I do. Bump anybody else that's like in it or has been in it, wants to get in it around the time that I'm like trying to pursue something. I'm focused on me. So because I'm pushing myself to my hardest, I'm hard on myself. I want to show up better. And I've been experiencing difficulties in making music or recording music, but I have to keep telling myself, if you really want this, are you going to give up just because it's hard? And when I tell you this shit is hard, y'all, it's hard. But it's like, choose your hard in life. Choose your hard, because being broke is hard. Being rich is hard. Being stagnant is hard. Like, being in certain circumstances is hard. Being in certain environments is hard. You know, like, it's growing pains. So you decide what you want for your life. And I feel like that's also why some people hit a point of envy or of being just mean-spirited, because at some point in time on their journey, they felt that hard and they decided they didn't want to keep going. So now you feel a way towards other people that chose to keep going, chose to overcome. So I have to keep telling myself, girl, you just trying to try your best not to become a miserable old bitch. Like, that's what I have to remind myself of sometimes. It sounds a bit rough, but it is what it is, because some people reach the age they moved the way they moved because they gave up on themselves, and now they mad at the people that didn't give up on themselves or has the potential to keep going. And that's that crab in a barrel mentality. So we don't want to ever give ourselves the space and the room to become a miserable bitch. So you got to keep pushing through whatever. So I got to keep making myself get up and work, even though this shit is hard. And it's something that I wanted all my life. I've wanted to be in music since I was 7 years old, bro. Like, that's literally like 19 years ago. And now I'm being serious about dealing with pursuing it. And it's hard as shit. And am I just going to give up on myself? No, because guess what? This figuring myself out right now is hard. Figuring out cadences and all that, rapping on the beat, writing, like recording, is hard. But the next level of hard is going to have to be promoting it and trying to build a fan base and trying to create my image and branding. And so it's never going to stop being hard. It's going to be new levels of hard. So you got to decide what is your hard, what you want to do, what you're willing to work for. Don't give up on yourself. And I got to keep reminding myself not to give up on myself. And you never know who you're inspiring. And that is like I know some people might be like, well, it's not about them, it's about me. But you don't know if God is using you as a vessel to bless or to help or to save somebody. Somebody told me at one point in time, they DM me, they talk about, you saved my life. Excuse me. Oh, Lord, don't say that, girl. So it's just like, oh my God. So to be on this earth, let me tell you this already. Existing as you are without doing anything else, you are worthy. You are somebody that is deserving of love. Plain point blank, and that's it, right? However, it's a different feeling to know that God is using you as a vessel to bless other people. It's a different kind of feeling. And just like the devil could use people, God could use people. So I appreciate everybody that has been on my journey up to this point. And I'm talking about, in this instance, even the people that have fell off, the old friends, the old workplaces, the schools I've been to, the experiences I've had, because the devil had to use you to provoke me into greatness. And you can't see the sun when it's too close to you. Sometimes you get too close to the sun, you got to crash and burn. So you have no choice but to watch me from a distance now as I'm growing, as I'm succeeding, as I'm pushing myself, as I'm happy, and feel away. But it's because God or the devil, whoever, had to use you to provoke me into my greatness, to provoke me into wanting to change my life, to provoke me into not wanting to be comfortable in a situation that wasn't meant for me. So I'm grateful to you, like you were in my life for a reason, a season, a lesson, or a blessing. And once you serve your purpose, it's time for me to move on, and it's time for me to be great. And it's time for me to let God use me as a vessel for whatever I need to do for the next person. Plain and simple. So there's no hard feelings towards anybody anymore. I'm having to remind myself to forgive people. I don't forget, but I have to forgive. I have to let that anger and that pain off of my heart, because if I want to accomplish what I want to accomplish, I'm not going to let what somebody else did to me weigh me down. And I'm not going to let a circumstance weigh me down. If I have to put it into my energy when I'm performing, if I have to put it into my words with my music, if I have to put it into my actions when I'm dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, then that's what it has to be. But I appreciate everybody that I've crossed paths with up to this point. I forgive everyone up to this point that has been of any influence in my life that has made me want to go harder. Point blank, period. I have to release that off my heart. This is very therapeutic right now. But I have to release that off my heart, because you can use energy to create. And that's something I had to learn a long time ago, that I was walking around so angry and sad and wanting to put my hands on people. And I had to say, let me start writing music. Let me start dancing. Let me start exercising. Let me start being a joy in my community. Let me start giving to charity. Let me start interviewing people that inspire me so they could give me a little piece of advice on the side. Let me build a garden with these shit patties people throwing over the fence at me. And once you're able to alchemize all of the energy that comes in towards you, you have no choice but to grow and become a different person and to change. You're not supposed to be the exact same person that you were 10 years ago. You're supposed to be unrecognizable. You can still be who you are at your core, but you're supposed to make progress. You're supposed to become better. You're supposed to want better for your life. You're supposed to want better for the people around you. And sometimes wanting better for the people around you creates conflict to the point where those people can no longer be around you, because you will offend them, because you want better for yourself or you want better for them and they don't want better for them. So it's going to start creating friction, and you just got to know when to move the hell on from people. Let it go. Plain and simple. So I love that I've been through everything, and I'm sending love to everybody who's ever hurt me. Right now, I'm sending love to everybody who has ever tried to discourage me, who has ever tried to disrespect me, who has ever tried to knock me off my path, because I understand now that the pain that you're going through in your life, you wanted to inflict onto me so you could feel better about yourself. So I wish you healing, and I'm granting you forgiveness in this moment, because forgiveness is not for you necessarily, it's for me. So I have to lighten my heart. I have to unburden myself from this pain and this anger that I've been feeling. And through that, I'm going to choose to forgive. I'm choosing joy. I'm choosing happiness, and I'm choosing to make my life better. I'm not going to hold on to none of that pain that anybody has sent me. So with all of that being said, your greatest is yet to come, y'all. You never know how much better you will get, even though you're struggling right now. You never know who you're going to become. You never know who want to work with you or who's inspired by you. And you just got to keep pushing and got to keep going. And you got to have love in your heart and strength in your body and your mind and be the best that you can be. Always remember, the power is yours. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Love y'all.